was booked on suspicion of aggravated assault, a third-degree felony, criminal mischief, threatening violence, disorderly conduct, and interfering with a communication device. He is currently being held on bail pending arraignment on formal charges in First District Court in Logan. An 18-year-old Mount Sterling man is the latest to confess to chopping down people's trees in Providence and Millville. Matthew Parker accepted a plea deal admitting that he did not cut any of the trees down but was with the others when the crimes occurred. Parker appeared Wednesday morning in First District Court in Logan. He pleaded guilty to 3 counts of criminal mischief, all third-degree felonies. According to prosecutors, Parker was with Landon John Buse, Trey John Burbank, both from Wellsville, along with Ty Grohl from Mendon, and cut down 9 trees in Millville and Providence over the course of several nights. The crimes occurred between January 6th and 13th, 2023. Parker told the court that he had been invited to play ball and have dinner with the group on January 13th. The others told him how they had cut down several trees the week before and convinced him to go with them later that night. And it's Community Health Improvement Week, and one Utah Family Care physician wants people to use the time to think about the effects that stress might be having on their mental and physical health. Medical Director for Optum in Utah, Dr. Christopher Valentine, says stress in the short term is an important response, a signal to the body that something isn't right, but chronic stress over time can affect the heart and manifest itself in other ways, from back pain and digestive issues to fatigue, depression, and trouble sleeping. He says the first step is recognizing the source of the stress.
We have to identify which are the things that we have control over and which are the things that we really don't have control over. By really dividing things into a couple of different buckets and then looking and saying, what are some things where I can take some steps in order to kind of resolve that issue?
He says meditation and deep breathing are often underutilized but can make a big difference. He suggests breathing in, counting to 4, holding it for 7 seconds, and finally releasing the breath over 7 to 8 seconds, and repeating that several times. That can help reset the body under stress. KVNU weather brought to you by Napa Auto Parts. If you need a new battery or wiper blades, Napa will make sure you get the right size for your vehicle. They'll even help you install it at any of your 5 locally owned locations from Preston to Providence. Mostly clear tonight, mid-40s, partly cloudy, mid-70s on Saturday, windy on Sunday, winds gusting to around 40 miles an hour in the afternoon on Sunday out of the south and southwest. High temperature on Sunday, around 80. You can always get more news at CacheValleyDaily.com.
If you've ever passed by 485 North Main, you've likely noticed how well kept the property is. The grass is always green and the flower beds are always well kept and in bloom. What you see on the outside is exactly what you'll find inside. Care and attention to detail. Exactly what you want when you're dealing with one of your most important senses, your hearing. Dr. Daines' love and care for the community has always gone beyond the front steps at Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology. So if you're not hearing as well as you used to, stop in at 485 North Main in Logan or visit them online at CacheHearing.com.
The Above and Beyond Salute, sponsored by Firehouse Subs, recognizing first responders and other deserving individuals in our community. Friday mornings at 8:30 on News Talk KVNU.
Are you a business owner looking for affordable workers' comp coverage? This is Matt Robbins with Quality First Insurance. As an independent auto owners insurance agency, we work with top-notch carriers to find the best policy for your unique needs. With our experienced agents, you can rest assured that you're getting the best coverage and the best price. Call our office today for a free quote. Quality First Insurance, 752-0101. For more information, go to q1ins.com.
Intermountain Budge ENT Clinic has an experienced and caring team of physicians and staff to assist you with all of your ear, nose, and throat concerns, including head and neck surgery. Doctors Kaiser and Wilson and their staff at Intermountain Budge ENT Clinic will work together to provide excellent care and support throughout the entire surgery process, from your pre-op visit to your full recovery. And they accept all insurance. For more information about Doctors Kaiser or Wilson, search Budge Clinic ENT or call 435-716-1420. Local care with Intermountain expertise.
Dr. Josh Red, chiropractic physician, explains how Red River Health and Wellness can help you.
If you have low thyroid and you're taking thyroid medication, the biggest question you should ask yourself is what's causing my low thyroid specifically? If you don't know the answer to that question, it's important to call us. At Red River, we identified triggers that will cause the low thyroid to begin with. One of the most common causes of low thyroid is a disease called Hashimoto's disease. This is an autoimmune disease that is a lot more complicated than just a primary thyroid issue. This is why people will be on thyroid hormone but still feel little to no improvement because nothing's being done to address the bigger, more complicated problem, which is Hashimoto's. If you have low thyroid or you have an autoimmune disease and you're on medication and still don't feel well, call Red River.
Schedule your appointment today at 855-55-RIVER. Red River Health and Wellness with offices in Logan, South Jordan, Springville, and St. George.
Call Red River today.
News Talk 610 AM, 102.1 FM, KVNU.
My friend John Hanson at the Duct Hunter has constantly educated you about the need for ductwork cleaning in your home. But what about your cabin or summer home outside the valley? You need that home's ductwork cleaned too. With high pollen counts in the mountains, dust always in the wind, and road construction ever present, the old adage of out of sight, out of mind is bad. Give the Duct Hunter a call at 770-4813 to clean out those dirty ducts in your summer home.
We are the Duct Hunter. Breathe better, save money, protect your home. We are the Duct Hunter.
I saw Wedding Crashers accidentally. I bought a ticket for Grizzly Man and went into the wrong theater. After an hour, I figured I was in the wrong theater, but I kept waiting. That's the thing about bear attacks. They come when you least expect it.
We never knew how to forfeit, but we always knew how to talk. Couple nights threw gasoline on the fire. We never knew how to.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. Hour 2 of today's show, the For the People movie show with Andy Morgan joining us here in just a bit. It is a big movie weekend for those interested in getting out, seeing something. No shortage. If you haven't already been to the offering in theaters, you also have a lot of good choices. Well, you have a lot of good choices and some okay choices. Nothing really awful, depending on what your tastes are. So the film's opening this weekend, Disney Pixar's Elemental, which looks funny, but also kind of looks like it's I haven't seen this, but it looks like it's falling into something that's kind of plagued the Disney Pixar world for a while now, which appears to be almost like they're running out of ideas, and so they're reaching somewhat. So again, I haven't seen it, so maybe I shouldn't say that. That's my reaction to the trailer of Elemental. That Pixar is struggling with creative juices, not talent. The animation looks amazing. In fact, the animation, I read a write-up about this earlier in the week. The animation breaks some ground, as Pixar does almost every time they make a film, inventing new technology and more. And it looks amazing visually. But the storyline, the overall premise, again, like the last couple, it kind of looks like they're struggling with ideas. So maybe they need a new creative team for the storylines and things like that. I don't know. But again, that's just my reaction to the trailer. Audiences are loving it. Critics are loving it. Although one critic agreed with me and said, this is kind of exactly what Pixar has been doing lately, and it's just another version of that. And so kids will love it. Parents will love being able to take their kids to it. Parents will like it because there are a lot of jokes for adults buried in there, as always is the case with Pixar. And in Pixar's defense, Toy Story broke some ground. Up was really the first time that an animated feature had dealt with, Up was a Pixar movie for adults. It wasn't for kids. It had things in there to keep the kids entertained, understanding that most parents were going to take their kids to this. They didn't just make a drama, then animate it, but close when it comes to Up. And it that was groundbreaking. It showed that it could be done. when, at a time when nothing like that had been done before. Now it's been done to death by other companies. But so Elemental just kind of comes in as the trailer for me. It was a bit of a meh when I watched it. I'm sure I wouldn't hate it. Pixar movies always end up being hilarious and creative in various ways, but it's not. It's just. I wish they would try something new. Let me put it that way. I mean, other than the technical side of things, they try something new technically every time. And if that's why you're going, great. You're going to be impressed, I'm sure. But I mean with the stories and the overall premise. So I did not plan to start the movie show with an Elemental Pixar rant, but there you have it. Also opening, The Flash. I did see this one. Andy actually didn't get a chance because, well, you'll find out why in a bit here. He got a very special invitation that no one would have passed on. So he missed the Flash premiere last night in order to go to the premiere of Indiana Jones, the advanced screening for media of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. So that's again, we're going to talk about this in a way that hopefully will be even minor spoiler free, because I know that they've tried to keep details of this buried. It's the last one, and so the question on everybody's mind: will Indy die? The premise is he's retiring, and then he's approached with, "Come on, one last one before retirement," and so it's Harrison Ford himself has said, this is the last one he'll do as Indiana Jones. Though I'm sure the franchise will continue. The questions that obviously are going to be on everyone's mind, we're not going to spoil any of that. We're going to be very careful. So we'll be talking about that. But again, The Flash opened here in Logan last night. This is, I'll just say this. My take, this is the first time DC has come close to at least creating an opportunity for themselves to do what Marvel did. I'm not saying this is the greatest superhero movie ever made. But I will say this is the first DC movie that has everything it needs to be a hit and to open the doors to DC being able to capitalize on some of the success Marvel had for more than a decade. The big question, always that I thought this a couple of times. Well, to be honest with you, I thought this when in the opening scenes of The Flash, that the problem DC has is they're coming second because some of it seems familiar. Also in theaters are Transformers, Rise of the Beast, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, The Boogeyman, based on a Stephen King story, short story, The Little Mermaid, Disney's Little Mermaid, and Guardians of the Galaxy, all playing here in Logan. So plenty to get out and see. And
The Littlest Mermaid is also playing.
The Littlest Mermaid?
Yeah, I don't want to talk him.
Is that the short?
It's Randy Newman's personal experience with mermaids. I'm sorry. I'm running low on jokes today. That was a bad one to lead off with.
I can't.
Hey, everybody.
The Family Guy have ruined Randy Newman for me. Well, Randy Newman ruined Randy Newman for me, but then the Family Guy, they have a little
old man walking down the
left foot, right foot.
Right. Yeah, that's right. I think we've done this before. We talked about this. There's a Mad TV skit from like 1997 when they were doing the Phantom Menace, and I don't remember who's playing Randy Newman, but he's like, when my pal George Lucas called and asked me to do the songs for the new Star Wars, I said, "Oh boy, I did it for Bug's Life. I can do it for Star Wars." And there's one that just kills me. He says, "I don't know
what the Bug's Life."
Yeah, and because there's that song, remember? And so everything he does in this Star Wars thing is to the tune of "Once a bug, little bug," that thing. But he says, there's one where he says, "R2D2, we might need you." And he can't get the characters' names right, so he's like, "Free CPO, free CPO," and then and they keep correcting him. Then he's like, "And then I brought my good friend Rob Zombie in." It's really funny.
See, now that'd actually be funny.
It's really
Randy
funny.
Newman duet album with like just the absolute.
Says, it's like, and he's yeah, and oh no, this is the other one that's funny. He says, "Space."
Fat man with kids and dog.
That's the one.
He's literally just singing what he sees.
It is. The one on Star Wars, I think he says, "Space."
It's just, and they just stare at him the whole time. He's just in a field playing a piano, describing what he sees.
Space is a place for Star Wars. No, he says driving around where there ain't any ground.
Really?
That's the line.
I gotta find that one too.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Anyway, wow, we got on a tangent early but Randy Newman. Actually, do you know what? This is not a tangent.
Ooh.
This is accidentally not.
Are you
no, I don't know. So what I was saying about Pixar that
seen a Marvel movie?
I was thinking about, remember when Toy Story opened and Pixar did this a few times over, where it was just everybody was like, wow,
yeah.
Absolutely wow. And then I think they got creative, so they realized that we've done it a lot, and so then you have like Up, where they say, okay, we're going to do this, we're going to make a Pixar movie, but it's for adults.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a movie about death,
that's
and it's about
Incredibles. I think Wall-E.
Yeah, the Incredibles, and
Ratatouille.
So they really, and then here comes. So I saw the trailer for Elemental, and I my honest reaction is, I'm sure technically it's impressive, and I've read some stuff about how they've broken some ground with new technology.
It feels
again,
vanilla,
but the story and the theme, the overall premise, meh.
Yeah,
we had one like this just recently, but it was like Emotions. What was that?
That was
remember?
Inside Out. That's probably
Inside
the
Out.
last. Well, that's not true because
this is the same thing, but it's elements.
Disney's animation still has some hits like Coco.
And I'm not saying it'll be bad.
No, and I agree with you. But to your
It'll
point,
be good, I'm sure.
This is a broader thing. This is a broader topic, and the topic is, and I think, and it's easy to tie back to like Star Wars. It's easy to tie back to Marvel movies, DC movies.
DC, yeah.
But we have somehow right now at this state of movies, and I need to go back and do some research because I think we see this. It creeps up. I want to say every 10 years or so. Maybe more, maybe 10, 15 years, we lose that wow factor.
Yeah. And that's important to point out, too. I'm not blaming Pixar. I'm not saying, Pixar, you've let us down.
Well, but no,
I'm just saying
but maybe we can, though. Because sometimes it's... let me throw this out. You watched the trailer for Elemental, and you went, eh.
Yeah, it feels very not creative.
You watched the trailer for Into the Spider-Verse, which is superhero, and I mean, and that's one of the best movies of the year.
That's a good point, yeah.
So,
man, the animation there, absolutely.
I made the conscious choice yesterday, and I wanted. We're gonna have like reverse roles today because you saw The Flash.
Yeah,
I did not.
But you saw something else.
I am gonna go see it. But I went to a 2-week early screening of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny.
So now, why so early? Can that be the first question you answer?
I think my guess is so the moratorium on reviews is lifted. They've asked us to hold our full reviews until the week of.
Sure.
I
personally warn listeners that we don't want to spoil anything, even in a minor way.
No, and I'll be honest with you,
it is about this movie.
So not. There's no spoilers. It's probably the most Raiders thing since Raiders.
Oh. That's good.
So that's the tidbit I'll leave you with, and we'll review it in full in 2 weeks. I will say this:
I've been trying to rewatch.
I did rewatch all of them.
I only got to I watched Raiders and Temple of Doom, and then I got distracted. But I'm going to go.
I bet I'm going to get all dirty again.
I forgot. Honestly, I'd forgotten how funny Temple of Doom is.
It is.
Raiders is too, but
Raiders is darker.
It's interesting. Raiders. So I'd never noticed this before. Raiders of the Lost Ark. They were headed in a different direction.
Well, it was rated R initially.
Yeah, you could tell they had a different plan for him, and then something about the audience, what audiences loved about Raiders of the Lost Ark, they're like, all right, that's Indiana Jones now. So here's Temple of Doom.
I learned a lot.
That's very funny.
I learned a lot of things about Raiders that I didn't know, that we can talk a little bit about. Just some things of how it came about, what the initial ideas were behind it. That Steven Spielberg actually was not almost the director.
I'd heard before that was like a accident almost.
Not really an accident. I mean, so the story goes, well, and let me say one thing really quick before I dive into this. One thing I want to say is, again, while I'm not going to talk about the story, I will say that the reports that we heard initially out of the Cannes Film Festival that, it was like that kind of thing. I still think it's going to get probably, I don't know what the full load of reviews will be, but I thought it was great. I think those people have miserable lives.
Yeah, I think that was a dumb decision. I would never.
I do think it was a bad PR decision.
If I'd made a popular film, I might premiere it at Sundance or like the L.A. or New York film festivals. But you went to the snootiest, most pretentious on the planet film festival.
Yeah, I think
with
it's
an Indiana
because,
Jones movie.
I think it's because of Top Gun. You know what I mean? I think that's
but
where
that was Top Gun. It was,
yeah, but I mean, it's the same. I would actually, if you had said to me,
I still think that was risky for them.
It was.
Too,
that's what I'm
though.
saying. If you'd have said to me 3 years ago, Andy, they're going to premiere Indiana Jones, the fifth Indiana Jones movie at Cannes, and they're going to premiere Top Gun. Which one do you think would get panned? I can tell you right now, I would have put my money on Top Gun.
Yeah. That's
so,
just the
you know
wrong
what I mean?
audience. Very much the wrong audience for an action film.
Yeah, I agree. So anyway, long story short, I think it's definitely better than the snooty press, the snooty critics have said.
What's the French?
Yeah, I mean, it's miles above Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which I will say on rewatch is not a horrible Indiana Jones movie.
I'm intrigued by you saying that, and I still plan to. I'm not going to skip it in my rewatch.
This Indy has a lot of emotion in it that I did not expect to feel. Not like saying goodbye to Indy kind of emotion.
I was going to say because it's the last one.
No, more of just. Like, I guess this is where it really is. Indiana Jones in Raiders of the Lost Ark and Indiana Jones in the Temple of Doom, Indiana Jones in the Last Crusade. He's this, globe-trotting, let's just say 40-something, late 30-something dude. He's James Bond of archaeology.
In Raiders of the Lost Ark, I hadn't picked up on this before. In Raiders of the Lost Ark, they're actually trying to make him an R-rated action movie James Bond.
Well, and that's so.
And then Temple of Doom, they're like, okay, you're the PG-13 funny adventure guy.
Well,
you're not James Bond.
Remember that was PG.
Oh, that's right.
That prompted PG-13.
Yeah, it was PG, and then they're like, nah,
what's funny?
Can't eat a monkey.
It's funny the things that
can't
we
eat a monkey and still get PG.
No. It's funny the things that we get upset about in this country. And when I say we, I don't mean you and I, because we're normal. By the way,
the professional upset people, I call them.
No, it's like, for example,
specialize in being upset people.
Everybody remembers the heart being pulled out of the chest in Temple of Doom, but they don't remember. There's a lot, especially in Temple of Doom. There's a lot of like innuendo and sexuality that I was like, wow, this was not there in Raiders.
I didn't pick up on that the first time, but
well, then in Raiders, you're like, is Indiana Jones a pedophile? Like when he's talking about Marion, and he goes, she's like, I was a child, you knew better, and he was like, you knew what you were doing.
Yeah,
and I was like, wait, what?
Like starts dating her as her professor.
Like, what is going on? Yeah, we need to talk about. I got some really cool things to talk to folks about Raiders of the Lost Ark when we come back that will blow your mind.
All right, sounds good. More of the For the People movie show, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny review. Yeah, you heard that right. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny review. Without spoilers, we're going to be so careful. I'll talk a little bit about The Flash and also a long list of what's coming to theaters pretty soon. All of that coming up as the For the People movie show with Andy Morgan continues right after this look at the news with KVNU's Bill Walter.
Thank you, Jason. KVNU News Time is coming up on 5:30, and this look at the news brought to you by U&I Furniture. Republican governors are pushing back against a proposal by the Biden administration to put conservation on equal footing with industry on vast government-owned lands. On Thursday, South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem testified before the U.S. House Committee on Natural Resources in favor of a bill that would require the Bureau of Land Management to withdraw the proposal, saying it would cause deep devastation. The White House plan would allow conservationists and others to lease federally owned land to restore it, much the same way oil companies buy leases to drill and ranchers pay to graze cattle. The top Democrat on the House Natural Resources Committee, Representative Raul Grijalva of Arizona, said the proposal was long overdue. Noem, however, was joined in Washington by Wyoming Governor Mark Gordon in decrying the measure. One day earlier, they joined the Republican governors of Utah, Idaho, Montana, and Nevada in penning a letter urging the Bureau to withdraw the drafted rule. There is now one fewer place to access abortion in Utah after Planned Parenthood closed its only clinic outside the Salt Lake City metropolitan area. The organization temporarily closed its clinic in Logan after its sole provider left in March. It said on Thursday that it was training new staff and planned to reopen its doors in August. The 3 abortion clinics are remaining open in the Salt Lake City area. Meanwhile, advocates are worried about healthcare staffing shortages in rural areas like northern Utah, and court battles are being waged over a new law that could ban abortion clinics in Utah. And a man has pleaded guilty to hate crime charges for threatening to use his vehicle to hit an Idaho library worker who defended a transgender co-worker, as well as 2 women he believed were lesbians. The U.S. Justice Department says Matthew Lehigh from Oregon entered the plea to 2 hate crimes charges Thursday in federal court in Idaho. Lehigh had signed a plea agreement in the case last month. He faces sentencing later. An attorney for Lehigh did not immediately return an email seeking comment sent after hours Thursday by the Associated Press. KVNU weather mostly clear tonight, low in the mid-40s, partly cloudy mid-70s on Saturday, and then windy on Sunday, with south winds increasing to 15 to 25 miles per hour, gusts to around 40 in the afternoon, high temperature close to 80 degrees. Weather brought to you by The Lawn Doctor. The Lawn Doctor's 2 service soil enrichment programs will help increase the size and number of roots in your grass. Just one application of Lawn Doctor's HydroGuard service reduces your watering frequency by up to 1 day a week, saving you water and money. Just some of the services of The Lawn Doctor, 753-LAWN. For more details on these and other stories, visit CacheValleyDaily.com.
Are you a hot sleeper? Warm summer nights can make it hard to sleep. U&I Furniture recommends sleeping cooler with a gel memory foam mattress. U&I features a copper-infused gel memory foam that helps with coolness and circulation. It moves better with you, giving you the best night's sleep. U&I is also the home of Chair Heaven. There's a reason they sell so many chairs, including recliners. For over 90 years, there's always been a better buy at U&I Furniture, downtown Logan.
A 19-year-old in Michigan accused of sharing neo-Nazi and anti-Semitic beliefs in social media, of making threats, accused of having lots of guns and ammo and more, has been charged by the Justice Department. Investigating more than 30 letters containing suspicious white powder sent to state lawmakers and other public officials in Kansas. The FBI and state law enforcers, ABC's Alex Stone.
Right now, no injuries are known, but officials in Kansas are being told to be careful while handling their mail.
Big mixed martial arts star Conor McGregor fighting back against allegations he sexually assaulted a woman at last week's NBA Finals in Miami. ABC's Victor Akendo in Miami.
A new video obtained by TMZ Sports appears to show McGregor take the woman by the hand and lead her into the bathroom. The door closes and security guards are seen standing outside.
A guilty verdict for the man accused in the 2018 deadly shooting at a synagogue near Pittsburgh. It was a down day for Wall Street, but an up week. Chuck Sievertson, ABC News.
Reporting the news that matters to you. News Talk KVNU, 610 AM, 102.1 FM, your number one radio station for news and talk.
Seriously, my dealership just fixed the transmission.
We all know how it can be to go to the wrong place for transmission repair. Made up of over 800 pieces, the transmission is the most complex part of your car. So bring it to the transmission experts at AMCO. AMCO, always the right fix. AA MCO.
Save $350 off a transmission rebuild. Amco Transmission, 75 East, 2000 North. Make sure you stop in today and see owner Kurt Zollinger and his team. Restrictions, limitations, and exclusions may apply.
Cache Valley Cruising, Cache Valley Cruising.
Are you ready for Cache Valley's biggest party? Rev your engines and join the fun at Cache Valley Cruising, June 29th through July 1st. This year, they're giving away a gorgeous 1973 Camaro Z28, silver with black stripes. And your ticket is your entry to win the car. But that's not all. The Top Rod of Utah returns, where you can feast your eyes on cars worth big money. And let's not forget the excitement of the poker run, the sock hop, and the swap meet, where you can find unique products and fun gift ideas. Then, get ready to catch the wave of nostalgia with the legendary Beach Boys as they perform all your favorite hits. Tickets are selling fast, so go to Lee's Marketplace or the Cache Valley Cruising website to buy tickets now. June 29th through July 1st at the Cache County Fairgrounds.
Just like you, a healthy tree is a happy tree. At Hull Tree Care, their team is dedicated to caring for your trees. By now, your trees and shrubs are growing like crazy. Perhaps you have some trees blocking your view or posing a potential threat. If so, call Hull Tree Care. They'll get your trees in perfect shape and enhance their beauty. Need a tree or stump removed? No problem. Their cleanup crew will leave your yard clean and tidy. Call 760-6587. That's 760-6587. Or visit hulltreecare.com.
Am I dreaming? No. Where am I? In bed? What am I doing? Talking to myself. Look, I must have a star on my door.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. I expected a little more from Art of Noise with Max Headroom.
I just ate a donut on air.
This was the 80s were weird.
Yeah, they were weird.
So I saw
they produced something called Soul Man, and someone thought that was a good idea.
It's a very funny.
What? Racism's over. Just do it.
I still can't believe that. I saw that movie in theaters too, to date myself, and laughed, and nobody was like, "Oh my goodness!"
Wasn't it Ray? Wasn't it Ray Don Chong? And C. Thomas Howell.
Yeah, C. Thomas Howell, and
so
it was
sad.
just weird. Same summer they made Rodney Dangerfield's Back to School. It was just a horrible theater season for higher education. I saw
Back to School. I forgot about that.
The reason Max Headroom was on my mind, I saw this ties back into movies because I wanted to bring this up when we talked about The Flash and Indiana Jones, because I think it's so cool when this happens organically, and then I start to think, was it organic? Anyway, so Max Headroom. I saw the top viral tweet in politics this week, according to Twitter's own data, at least, if you can trust Elmo.
I saw one the other day that Elon said that there was a tweet with 1 billion views, and I was wait,
and somebody did the math.
1/4 of the population of the world saw this.
Somebody did the math, and that meant that it was 1 in 4 people.
4% of the world is on Twitter.
Yeah,
how's that work out?
Elmo's like, we're huge. Look at how good it is since I took over
Elmo.
So I saw, according to Elmo's own weekly report, the top tweet this week was a tweet that. Do you remember Trey Gowdy? So it was,
I subscribed to his hairstyle.
Trey Gowdy was
his
on
hairstyle magazine.
Trey Gowdy was on CNN, I think, or something, and someone had a screenshot of that that said, "Did you know that Max Headroom had to pay Trey Gowdy's mom child support until he turned 18?" and I laughed so hard at that because I'd never made anyway. So
that's too funny.
But the reason I bring up
played.
The reason I bring up viral memes and tweets. So The Flash and Indiana Jones around both this. Well, again, the question is, was it really organic? But this, the fans are promoting for them at this point better than they're promoting.
Yeah.
And that happens regularly, but not every time. And I love to see it because it means everybody's super excited, and these are going to be the most memorable movies of the summer, and all of that stuff that we've seen play out a million times.
Yeah.
But every time, this little cynical part of me says, was it organic? Because you can buy, especially with Elmo's Blue Check thing now, you can basically pay $8 a month, and everybody is forced to see your comments first, which is such a pleasant addition
back in the
to
day,
the platform.
Back in the day, you'd see a blue check mark, and you'd go, "Oh, this person must have some weight of authority."
Yeah,
now I
elected
click on it,
official or journalist,
and it's a dude with 80, and
somebody
he's
that
like,
had $8 a month.
He's like, "Thank you for coming to my thread of racism."
And then Elmo's like, you know what? You're going to see all their comments first on Twitter. We'll turn it into the newspaper comments because that went well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so
top fan.
So I was thinking about this. Like, is it organic? Do you know? No one's ever caught him. But there have to be paid influence campaigns around movies on social media.
Well, I mean, let's talk about junkets for a second. I mean, if I'm a head of a studio, the marketing arm for The Flash, and I say, Jason, we'd love you to come out to Chicago. We're going to put you up in this fancy hotel, take you to dinner. There's going to be an IMAX screening of The Flash.
Yeah.
You're going to be here with, probably 25, 30 other journalists, maybe more. And then we're going to sit you down in the room tomorrow with the director, Andy Muschietti, and Ezra Miller and Michael Keaton and everybody.
Don't stand too close to Ezra.
And nobody's going to sit in that.
Choky.
No one sits in those and goes, "Hey, let's talk about this." Right? They go.
Yeah.
Those are always the questions that are like the wiffle ball pitches, where they're like, "So listen, you're really cool, and this movie rocks. Why don't you tell everyone why it's so awesome and rocks?"
Yeah. Because if you're the one that doesn't do that, you don't get invited to the next one.
Well, and those aren't film critics; those are entertainment reviewers.
Yeah,
right.
Which is different.
And I don't even consider myself so much of a film critic, but like the film criticism is not. Like when people go, I don't like film critics. Film critics are people they're going a little deeper than probably the average person is reading. Most of the things I think people see are entertainment reviewers. But to your point, I've said this for the last 10 years. With the advent of social media, I think that's why sometimes regional markets get blacked out because they're like, hey, we're not going to do a screening of Transformers. Rise of the Beasts because we don't
why bother?
Because we don't care. Right?
Yeah.
It's not good. We don't like you guys,
no,
right?
It's just we don't
care.
Money and the time,
right? When you can have 1 million people on Twitter or Facebook say, "Oh, just went and saw Transformers: Rise of the Beasts with my family. Pretty cool show," or whatever. Yeah. That's worth more weight in gold than it is. Right. So I mean and we know that, right? That's the whole rise of the influencers and things like that. I do thought something was interesting, Jason. So I have not had a chance to see The Flash yet, but all that I've heard on The Flash so far, one of my colleagues in the Utah Film Critics Association texted me after he saw it, and he said, I am almost 1,000% sure that ChatGPT wrote the screenplay for that. and he just said it was just terrible CGI. I've heard that from multiple people, that it's just that some of the effects. They brought back General Zod, who I don't think if they remembered back in 2012 when he was part of a Man of Steel, and they were like, "Hey, how did you love playing General Zod?" And he was like, "It was dumb." I was against a green screening, no acting, zero effort.
And the one thing I'll say about that is they bring him back not as a main character; they bring him back as a jumping board for a pretty important plot point.
Don't tell me.
Yeah. Though, so here's what I'll get my Flash thoughts out of the way quick.
Let me ask you a question before you say that. We do letter grades here at the KVNU. For the People Movie Show. We don't believe in stars.
That's right.
What letter grade would you give The Flash?
Somewhere between a B+ and an A-, actually.
Really?
Yeah. It was.
I was not expecting that.
But see, I have a lot of questions for myself on this reaction because here are some of the questions. So I'm driving home and I'm thinking, wow, I really liked that. I am way impressed. I might see it a second time.
Wow.
And so my next question, the cynical part of my brain goes, are you reacting this way because it's the first time Marvel made you want to see one of their films, or DC made you want to see one of their films a second time? Because this would be a first. If I went to this again, DC has not since the 1989 Batman when I was like
you didn't see the Nolan ones? Or are you talking about like...
I kind of extract the Nolan ones. I saw those multiple times. They're in their own world.
They live on their own planet.
Yeah. I'm talking about everything DC did without Christopher Nolan at the helm.
Fair.
They have never once, other than again when I was very young in that 1989 Batman.
Yeah.
That's the last time DC made me want to go to one of their movies a second time. Period.
Interesting.
And this one, and so my first thought is that why I thought this was so cool? Is that it didn't.
The bar was so
suck.
low. The bar was so low.
But so I've thought about it in the 24 hours or so, and no, this is actually a really good movie. So much so that this is now the question I have about it. Is this movie going to be kind of poo-pooed a little bit because no fault of DC's other than they weren't first? It does repeat. So I can put it this way, actually. The opening scene of this movie and the song that plays, my very first thought is, you're just borrowing from Marvel. You're just stealing the Marvel format. But then at the same time, it is so not... it is not Marvel's. Marvel doesn't own starting the movie with a cheesy song from the 70s.
No, they
you know
don't.
What I mean, that's such
that started
a movie
in
thing.
That started in the Vietnam War movies.
Yeah, exactly. But it's in so many minds, including my own now, that is such a Marvel thing.
Well,
that it felt like DC opened the Flash by ripping off Marvel.
Can I ask you a question? So here's my question.
I can't remember the song now.
There's James. We know now that you know the previous administration of DC.
Oh, really quick, the CGI does have its bad moments, though. There's a running thing that just I don't know. It's one of those things where I'm like, whole committees of people see this, and no one says, you know what, that looks stupid.
Here's what I'm thinking, and bear with me for just a minute.
CGI is fine
because I don't want to go too deep in this rabbit hole.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I've been seeing a lot.
I think we should spend more time on indie.
Well, I've been seeing things with video games, and I've been seeing this with movies. And I'm working with developers in over my career. I know that if you don't have enough people or your work is too much, what you put out, it's more about assembly line pushing it out versus putting out the best quality you possibly can. And I think that in some realms, Hollywood, and especially in the superhero universe, is dealing with that right now.
I think that's so in this movie, one thing I can say almost in defense of some of the hokey CGI that does pop up and distract you a couple of times, just a couple of times, but otherwise it's great. There's some funny jokes. I wonder if I can emperor this guy. Just anyway, but it is... It's almost as if they phoned in places phoned in the CGI, because Marvel or DC in this movie has gone so far. You can tell they put effort into making sure, unlike Justice League, unlike all the others, that this was not dependent on the CGI to be a hit. They've written a compelling story.
Okay.
There's really, really well done character development. And one of the tragic things about this is all the drama around, and hats off to him. He says he's getting professional treatment now, dealing with his mental health issues. But it's sad that Ezra Miller had the troubles that he's had that led to DC not really being able to market this movie on him. Because he is absolutely what makes the movie. Well, because most of the movie, it's him and him.
Yeah.
It's him and a younger version of himself, and he's acting against himself or with himself, and it's actually kind of amazing.
Well, my question...
Like he's really good.
What probably my biggest question on this is I've wondered... So I read yesterday it was announced that Andy Muschietti. This is the guy that directed It and It Chapter 2, by the way. He got put into the Flash, and then like he feels kind of like the dude that was like, he was working happily at a company, and then they messed everything up, and they were like, "But don't leave, please," right?
Yeah.
And so I think what's interesting with this is he just got announced as James Gunn announced that, because now we remember James Gunn, who was Guardians of the Galaxy and Suicide Squad.
He's the Kevin Feige.
He's the Kevin Feige
of DC now,
Him
right?
and Peter Safran are the heads of DC. And James Gunn announced yesterday that Andy Muschietti would be directing what'll be the new Batman movie. It's called The Brave and the Bold. And it's fitting into what they want is their expansive universe, right?
Yeah.
Which I honestly, again, I'm going to say this without going too deep, that I feel like DC's in a better spot than Marvel right now.
And I think The Flash is... So this is what I said at the first, I'll repeat it again. I think The Flash, it doesn't blow the door open for DC finally getting to claim some of this world that Marvel's owned.
Yeah.
But it opens the door.
Well,
something after The Flash will be the thing that makes it happen. Maybe. But The Flash definitely opens the door and says, all right, DC, they've stumbled onto something here, and they could do it.
Well, and they've got a lineup now, too, because you've got this guy that's doing Batman, the Brave and the Bold.
Yeah.
You've got the other Batman series with Robert Pattinson that's going to keep moving, right? These kind of these one-off movies, but not part of the main universe.
Yeah.
Then you've got James Mangold, who is the Dial of Destiny director for Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
He's going to do a horror movie on Swamp Thing.
That's going to be interesting, and that's a smart direction to go with that, I think.
Then James Gunn himself is going to be helming Superman Legacy, right?
Which I'm excited about that, because James Gunn in interviews, it was laid out why he hadn't really cared for the previous Superman movies at all.
Yeah.
And he nailed it. And so that was encouraging to see. One quick thing on the... Well, two quick things on The Flash before we go to the break, and we got to reserve some time for Indy, because I'm so excited to hear what you have to say. But so two quick things. The cameos are not gratuitous.
Okay.
And that makes them so great. And I'm going to spoil something for everyone here. So there are cameos. There are various Supermans. There's a CGI Christopher Reeve. I mean, because he's dead. It has to be CGI. So there are various Supermans. There are various Bruce Waynes. And spoiler alert, turn your radio down for like 30 seconds if you don't want to hear this. This isn't a plot spoiler. This is something, the funniest thing, I think maybe ever in his career, that George Clooney has ever done.
Oh, that makes me excited.
And honestly, it was so well done. And Ezra Miller really is great. And that's what makes everything else around him so tragic. Because
he's a creeper.
Yeah. And again, glad he's getting the help that he needs. And it sounds like he had some serious mental health issues. But it's just unfortunate, because they could have marketed this movie on his acting alone. And I think...
And that's
I
a
think,
theme now.
Yeah.
I mean,
so
the guy that was in Black Panther Wakanda Forever, the villain, just got charged with something this week.
Yeah.
There's the guy that is
accused of sexual assault, right?
Jonathan Majors with the whole King. He's been, I think he was actually arrested.
Yeah.
For domestic violence. So I mean, there's a lot of.
It's yeah. All right. So there's The Flash.
It's like 1920s Hollywood all over again.
Exactly. I say go see it. I don't think you'll be disappointed. Again, I don't think it's DC really doing what they're trying to do, but it's definitely DC opening the door to doing it for the first time.
I'm going to see it before our next movie show, and I will come back.
Yeah, I'm curious if you agree. And again, I'm not saying it's great.
Movie fight.
I probably lean towards B+.
Okay.
But if somebody else said they gave it an A-, I would not.
Guess what?
Yeah.
I gave Dial of Destiny a B+.
Ooh. We'll talk about it. Andy got to see Dial of Destiny weeks before it premieres, and he's not embargoed. So we'll talk about it right after this.
Celebrate Father's Day this year with a clock or watch from S.E. Needham Jewelers. Choose from Cache Valley's largest selection of quality timepieces. Give Dad a Swiss-made watch from Tissot, or keep him young with a trendy watch made by Fossil. Or consider the gift of pens, cufflinks, money clips, or other men's accessories.
We pay tribute to the generations of fathers at S.E. Needham Jewelers and all fathers on this Father's Day. S.E. Needham Jewelers, middle of the block at the sign of the clock.
Here's Chad Norton, the lawn doctor, with a tip for your lawn.
The way you water your lawn makes a big difference. Water restrictions and water costs have both increased over the last few years. The Lawn Doctor offers a popular service to help keep your lawn green and healthy while watering less. One application of our HydroGuard service reduces your watering frequency by up to 1 day a week, saving you water and money.
Watering help, weed, fertilizer, and pest control. Call the Lawn Doctor at 753-LAWN or go to lawndoctor.com.
Welcome back to the For the People movie show. Wrapping up today's show with, I did not expect this. Andy surprised even me with this announcement, but Andy got invited to a very advanced screening for critics of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny.
Yeah.
This usually happens the week of the premiere, just a few days early, but weeks in advance, which I think means that the studio is pretty confident about their movie, and
or they're like, please. Well, they said if you got the embargo's lifted, but if you'll hold your reviews for the week of, that would be appreciated. And I was like, does that mean you guys?
Nobody's doing that.
Yeah, I won't get into like the big parts of the movie. I will say that.
So I promised everybody there would be no spoilers.
Yeah, I won't,
because everybody wants to know what happens with Indy, and none of that.
I still think it. I don't want to say. I mean, they're saying it's the final chapter. Because, I mean, Harrison Ford's 80, so, I mean, come on.
Well, are they saying it's the final chapter, or are they saying it's Harrison Ford's
No, they're saying
chapter?
It's the final chapter.
Okay.
And just so everybody knows, too, because people are like, oh, I bet they're going to have Phoebe Waller-Bridge be a replay. And I'm like, no, she's not. She's like a combination of
I think they're going to go the young Indy route, like a prequel.
Well, let's just
franchise.
say Indiana Jones is not over, but with Harrison Ford, it's over.
I think they're going to find somebody, because only Young Indiana Jones TV show died because River Phoenix died, and it was on TV.
No, they definitely have possibilities.
That's where I think they're going to go. But
I want to tell you some fun facts about Raiders of the Lost Ark that I learned.
Okay,
and I rewatched all the movies, and I'll be honest with you, I can't really go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in any order. I can just say that. This Dial of Destiny, Raiders, Temple of Doom,
Last Crusade,
and the Last Crusader, just all kind of on their own shelf, and Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is one shelf below,
one shelf down.
But here's so we talked about how this originated, and I know we're getting close to wrapping up here, but
got 3 minutes.
These guys were on vacation together in 1977, George Lucas and Spielberg. And Spielberg told Lucas that he was really trying to position himself so that he could direct a James Bond movie.
Yeah.
And Lucas was like, no, wait, I got something better. And so what Lucas said,
and he was right.
What Lucas had come up with is Lucas had this idea. There's a Steve McQueen movie called Nevada Smith.
Yeah. And a low budget Indiana Jones, basically.
And Lucas originally conceived of the character's name as Indiana Smith because George Lucas's dog was called Indiana.
Yeah.
Spielberg later on told him Indiana Smith sounded weird, so
and it does.
They went with Jones. But interestingly enough, some things that you didn't know, Lucas had originally wanted to have Philip Kaufman direct.
Really?
Raiders. He at the time when they were wanting to produce it. Kaufman was directing The Outlaw Josie Wells with Clint Eastwood. Yeah. But Philip Kaufman, because he had been working with Lucas, he had consulted and he had said that they should do it around the Ark of the Covenant. So every Raiders movie you see, it says story by Philip Kaufman.
Yeah.
He's credited. So Paramount didn't want Spielberg because they saw Spielberg as a giant price tag because he had killed the budget for Jaws and Close Encounters.
Well, and he was now the most famous director on the planet,
and so
at that time.
This kind of cemented it. But like Jaws and Close Encounters were the only two things he'd done, and he was known for notoriously going over budget. And so Lucas was like, well, then I'm not doing it, and the rest is history. Interestingly enough, here's another thing that I did not know, that Lucas did not want Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones because he didn't want, remember Lucas is friends with Francis Ford Coppola and Martin Scorsese, and he did not want Ford to become his Bobby De Niro that had happened with Scorsese.
It's kind of obnoxious when directors do that.
So they considered
Quentin.
Yeah,
Did you hear us, Quentin?
They considered Jack Nicholson, Michael Biehn, Don Johnson, David Hasselhoff. It actually went to Tom Selleck, as we know, who had to back out because of his Magnum PI contract. So there's we're going to talk more of this as we lead into Indiana Jones the next couple of weeks. But there's a lot of interesting things that people don't know.
And you said B+. That's the only thing you're willing to reveal.
I'd go see it again in a heartbeat.
I'm so glad to hear that. I was so afraid you were going to come in today and say, this is one shelf below Crystal Skull. At which point... All right. We'll hit on this again next Friday and the one after that. But Andy has actually seen the most anticipated movie of the summer, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, opening June 30th. More on what he thought.